Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to Brand Coaching Power Hour. This is like an office hours with free brand coaching. Any questions that you have, branding, sales packages, social media content, brand messaging, all of that good stuff. That's what we answer for you. And we put a little spin on it. So I bring on a very important VIP client guest for every call because they have so much value to add as well. And so we have people on live. Welcome everybody live. And then this will be posted on the YouTube channel as well. I'm Nikki Incandela. I am the host of this. I do brand photography and coaching, visibility and connection for all of my clients around the world. And I'm so excited about my guest today. I'm always excited about my guest. I'll just be honest. We were just talking about this, which is a good thing to start with. But Alecia is joining us today, and she is a previous client of mine. And we became good friends in the whole process of creating her brand and doing her photo shoot. And we've stayed in touch throughout the years. And I'm so excited to have her on. She is a real estate mindset coach, and she's just unbelievable. I adore her in and out, and she's built a very successful business for herself while like really still being present to her kids and her husband and her family. And she's also a woman of faith, which I love too. But I just like to share my own bio of how we know each other. But welcome, Alecia. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to let you take over and tell everyone what it is that, you do and a little bit more about yourself from that aspect.
Yeah, so a lot of the work that I do is working with women in real estate and men who want to make that transition from being entrepreneur to really being that leader. And um, I think the work that I get to do is really beautiful, and that I really believe in creating a kinder world and compassionate leadership. And I think the way we do that is by the inner work that we do on ourselves, and the way that when we accept ourselves fully, when we are understanding of the things that trigger us and the ways that we self-sabotage ourselves, that when we accept ourselves and we are working on ourselves and we're feeling really good about ourselves, it is so much easier to be kind to other people and to be good to your employees and to be good to your clients, and to see that they are on their own journey and ever evolving as well. So a lot of the work that we do is really around inner work and leadership work, and I happen to do it with women in real estate mostly.
Perfect. I love it. And Alecia is a beautiful person that will like hold space for you. And um really she has the presence and the trusting essence within her that you just naturally want to open up and share with her. You probably hear that all the time, right?
I do. They're like, every time I'm with you, I cry.
Yes. We've talked about this.
And everybody here is laughing because those people who are here that are my clients, they know that's true because they say that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how, because I don't get that comment, but I will often, and PJ is on live too, and we've talked about this because he's very similar to me. But I get the comment, I don't normally share this with people, or I don't normally open up like this. Those are the comments that I get. So when people just feel, comfortable in your presence and know that you're a safe space. And I think too, like I've gotten a lot of comments, especially from my male clients, like, you're just so open and honest and vulnerable that it just makes me feel like I can be too. So that is one way to really, if you want to get people to open up to you more, is you being what you want to receive, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. um Okay, so I don't know where to start because I have like so much that we can talk about, and so much that we have spoken about in the past. But let's talk about, um, let's talk about leadership. And I want to start with what we were just talking about before we hit record, which is Alecia was like, you probably become really good friends with all of your clients. And I said, well, a good deal of them, yes. And the reason why is because I was so clear for so long on what my brand was and who I wanted to work with. And I really had the boundaries to stay within and those pillars of messaging and content and all the things that I build out for my clients. I had started with myself, right? And so because I had done that, I had this foundation that was so crystal clear that I knew what speaking engagements to take advantage of. I knew what opportunities to dive into. I knew, like, I've always known what client I want to work with. So I have had a lot of my clients become very dear friends because we share a lot of core values and interests and ways of being, along with faith and different perspectives of spirituality as well. But you attract what you be. So it's just interesting. And I've had a lot of clients who I did not stay in touch with and didn't become good friends with, but they were still ideal clients. And so I think too, that's a part of leadership also, is like where I'm going. So what are your thoughts on that, Alecia? I want to like hand it over to you.
Um, Ooh, like I don't know, what are my thoughts on that? So I would say like regarding like a lot of your people become your friends. That is like if we go on the underlying tone of that was like a compliment of just I love you so much, right? And that it's a privilege to be your friend and it's you're just such an awesome person. It's kind of like who wouldn't want to be your friend, right? And if you don't become friends with someone, it doesn't mean anything about you. So
Yeah.
I guess the other thing I'd say is like, I appreciate that you're like, well, hang on. I don't want anybody to make this mean something about themselves if we aren't friends. But also, I pursued that, right? I was like, hey, I like this chick. She's cool. I want to hang out with her more. So I'm going to do that. And
Yeah.
so it's a two-sided thing. Like we created that together. And so I'd say, it's what you make of it. It's how it goes. It's the back and forth that creates the friendship, right? So
Yeah.
nobody make anything mean anything. If Nikki is not you're like not long-term friends or anything, make it mean nothing about you. It's
Yeah,
just
exactly. I mean, I so love that I get to love who I work with, regardless if we are the chemistry of long-term friendship is there or not. I feel so blessed. And I've had so many assistants that work with me who are like, we have the most amazing clients. Like, you have the most amazing clients, and they're always doing such cool stuff. And it's really amazing to get to know these beautiful souls. And I feel like a lot of my clients also say that about their clients, where it's like once they get so clear on your brand and who you want to work with, like I've had sales calls where I did not allow someone to work with me or hire me. And that's okay too, but it's just knowing the boundaries of what's going to make you happy. Like, I mean, I'm always striving for happy. And it's so important when it comes to your work because we get to do this business based off of our skill sets, our passion, the gifts that we really were like born into to share. Um, but what I love is we get to lead people through that. And when we have a structure, a brand, and a foundation that really allows us to express who we really are for people to see, it's easier for them to open up and allow us to lead them. Like most of my clients will get on a photo shoot and they'll be like, whatever you say. I trust you. And I'm like, really? Okay, thanks. Because it's so much easier that way, right? But and when people are so much more coachable, it's easier for us to be successful, enjoy what we do too. So I meant it from that standpoint too. It's just like leadership, especially if you're an entrepreneur, leadership is always going to be a piece of what we do. And the sooner you recognize that, the better. And the way you implement that in the foundation and structure of your brand that you build out it really becomes a lot easier to maintain and stay on top of.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I feel the same way about my clients. Like I get off my calls all the time. I'm like, I can't believe I get to work with these amazing people. And
Yeah,
it's so cool. It's like, and you wouldn't be in my sphere if you don't have the same beliefs as me, if you don't tolerate my idiosyncrasies or my weirdness or whatever it is, I'm okay with repelling you too. And if I'm not for you, that's okay. I want you to
yeah.
go find the person that's right for you. So yeah, I think it's great when and you really helped me with that, was just really being all the weird sides of myself. And like our photo shoot, I remember so much of our time doing all of our photo shoots, because there was times when I felt so weird, and like we were doing things like some walking poses, and I was like, I feel like I'm weird. And you're like, you look like you're weird. Like, and so she's like, here, carry this purse so you have something to do with your hands. And it's
I
all those
don't,
little things
yes, I
that
don't
you
hold
know
back.
to do to like make a person feel comfortable, because there's
Yeah,
this piece when you're getting your photo taken, like all your stuff's coming up, like, oh, I feel really self-absorbed, oh, I feel really this, and so then you get
yeah.
weird.
It feels very weird. Yeah, I get that a lot. Like I just feel comfortable being me. And I won't let you look stupid. I won't let you portray something from your insecurities or your ego. I will only allow you to portray through the photos and your brand your real soul essence. So yeah, I'm like very quick to catch someone like, no, 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 that's not who you really are. Let's go back. Take a breath. Are you
Well,
breathing?
after
Are
we
you
would
with
do
me?
I just have to share this, because after we would do like a little section, because we did so many different setups, so to say, I always found myself doing something ridiculous to like release the tension of it. So like I'd be making a fish face, or I'd be like singing into like the sprayer in the kitchen, or like just funny things. And she would shoot them, and I'm like, oh, this is the blooper reel. But then the blooper reel was also beautiful. It
Yeah.
was like funny and cute and quirky. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, how did you do that?
Because when you're just you, like things translate a lot more beautiful because they're just genuine and authentic, right? Like when you get to see the true essence of something. This is exactly why people love photos of themselves. Like, let's say you've seen a photo of someone, it's clearly at someone's wedding, it's dark. It's in the reception. You can barely see them, but they're like, I love this photo of me. And I always ask who took the photo. And they're typically like, oh, my daughter or my husband. I'm like, that's why you love the photo. Like you feel safe enough in front of that person who captured your essence that you opened up and let it shine. So there are all these aspects of what makes us unique that I love to help my clients expose, because that's all part of their brand. Like that is part of their brand, which translates into their marketing. And the marketing is what actually like allows your message to get out into the world. And so we create your message from the brand. Your marketing is actually the vehicles that allow your essence and your message to get out there. But it's crazy because no one can copy that piece of you. Like your quirks are your quirks. Like my quirks are my quirks only. And the reason why they're beautiful is because they're so genuinely coming from our soul. And no one can copy that. People can copy your packaging, people can copy your pricing, people can copy like word for word your sales page, but they can't copy your true presence. And that's what I really love, like building my clients' brands off of. So, and I was just having this conversation the other day too. With dating is the same. One of the reasons why I love working with dating coaches and love coaches is because it's so much like branding. Like we're attracting our ideal clients, like, or you're attracting your ideal soulmate. It really is the same concept. So that's why, like, when people hire me, for online dating photos and to do their bios and stuff, like they're like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed by the response because finally people get to see them.
I love that. I love that.
Okay, let's talk about mindset. Let's talk about how mindset goes into really unveiling your soul essence for your brand. Because I want to combine what both you and I do in the conversation so everyone gets like the like uber value.
Yeah.
So I know that you have like you have some hacks which I love, and you and I have talked about attachment style. We've talked about a lot of things. But one of the cool things that you do, which I would so love to learn from you, is and I can't remember what you called it. It's the numbers. We were talking about numerology,
Oh,
but
soul purpose readings.
I
Yeah.
don't know how I could forget that. I've been talking about soul for 15 minutes.
Yeah, no. So the sole purpose. So the concept of it is really that our parents are given our name, and our name creates a sound. And so the sound is creation. And so your name on your birth certificate was given to, and whatever your belief system be, but God, spirit, whatever, however your soul, however you want to frame it is fine by me. But your God gives your parents your name, and that creates your reality. It's talents that you have, it's challenges that you'll go through, it's goals that you have here. And within it, I would say you'll find the things that you're passionate about, like things that you naturally lend talent to. You'll find the trials that you have to go through and overcome. In science-based things, I call it your big assumptions, like these contracts that your brain has made in the unconscious about the way the world works and the way you work in it. So you have these challenges that you become so intimately familiar with that they really become your strengths. And so often these challenges specifically we try to hide. And these are the things that, like, well, I don't want to be visible because I don't want to be judged, or I don't want to, make, if I fail, then, I'm a loser, or what, all the things you make up in your brain. And so
Or
when
that
we,
we've had experience with, right? Because I
what's
know
that?
or that we've had experience with, because like I know some of my trauma reactions are around, oh, well, usually when I share this much, people project back at me or people leave my life. So, there are repercussions of allowing people into that safe space sometimes. And then yes, like we make shit up too.
Yeah. Well, and it's really your interpretation. Like, so an experience happens, right? And then you have your version of the experience, you have their version of the experience, there's somebody else's version of the experience, and then what you made it mean,
Yeah.
what you brought into you and said, okay, this always happens. And you always know it's a big assumption or a belief, because it's like, this always happens, this never happens. There's this absoluteness to
Yes.
it, right? And so what if, though, this is what soul purpose brings in, is what if this was actually a challenge that was uniquely given to you so that you could do wonderful, incredible things with it, and that you're just here amassing the lessons that go with it so that you can contribute more into the world. So that's some of the pieces of soul purpose, is really understanding, what am I here to learn, and how am I here to use that and contribute to the world with the things that I'm talented at, and what's my mark.
Yeah, it's a really cool process, and it's so funny because I find that it's it's always been a challenge for me and other people I know, and this is probably the purpose of us being here, is just really unfolding who we're meant to be. But when I photograph like actors, I photographed like actor clients in the past too. I'm like, I don't know how you do it, because the rest of us are just trying to unfold who we are. And you're doing that too, but then you're playing all these roles. Like, how do you keep it straight? Like, I give them so much credit for really diving into that type of a purpose and career to entertain us or do whatever they're meant to be doing. And, I can't imagine. And maybe that's not as much of a issue for them, but um I could see it becoming a huge issue for me. Just trying to like
Well,
let go of all these roles that I'm playing.
But you know who I think of is Jim Carrey kind of has come out and said, like, I don't, when I'm playing roles and characters in a certain way, like it's not healthy for me. And
Yes.
so they does take a toll in some cases. So it just everybody has something. And I think the biggest thing I look at is even when someone has some kind of bad behavior or unacceptable behavior, it doesn't mean them as a person is wrong or bad. I look
Right.
at it as like maybe their role, maybe they're here to play the villain in someone's story
Yeah.
so that they can have that breakthrough around boundaries or they can learn to find their voice. So it's all just what it is and what you want to take away from it that supports you.
Yeah.
I think makes the biggest difference is always be looking for that place of growth.
Yeah, and that's a great point, and what supports everyone in the scenario, right? I had a conversation about narcissists with a friend a few weeks ago, and we were talking, and I have a few friends who are narcissists, whether they know about it or not, um, and and one of my girlfriends, her husband is a narcissist, and we were talking about how generous they are in connecting people. And typically, our conversation was about typically, I think that they have a hard time keeping long-term connections because of being a narcissist, right? And especially if they're very unaware of that. But they are so brilliant in connecting the rest of us because of that non-connection, they have so many friends, like, and so many people that they're always meeting. And I was like, what if that's the purpose for narcissists, is to just connect all of us, like they're this big piece to the puzzle. And why, if we get these gifts from them, why, bash them for it? It's like, it's just, they get to be who they are, right? It's all okay. Because and I think it came up too, because my friend was like, why are you still friends with people who are narcissists? And I was like, well, they just, I just really enjoy them still, and they just get to be them. They just play this role that, maybe they're not even aware of, but like I really love the interesting and intelligent conversations and the connections. And, I don't know, I still love them as a person. I just have to really limit my time with them. So it's interesting, just like accepting and noticing from an objective, loving point of view, what you get, what support you can give and get, right, from every scenario that you're in, and just noticing all the different roles that everyone in that is beautifully playing for the rest of us.
Yeah. Well, and it's what everybody has a shadow side. Like everybody has that side. And it's the part of you that's imperfect, right? None of us are perfect. And it's really acknowledging and embracing that piece and like 100% perfectionist right here, like recovering perfectionist. And
Same.
my clients know that I still have a tendency towards it, but I'm also have largely let go of that. But what it does is it allows me to see deeply into their hearts and connect with them in a way that's like, oh, she gets me.
Yeah.
And there's another way, right? There's a place for me to just relax a little bit and be okay with that. And
Yeah.
so being able to own some of that. Like, I remember this was so hard for me because you took this picture of me doing laundry and I was in high heels and white pants and this blue shirt. And I was like, Nikki,
It was
like,
bougie laundry.
this is so inauthentic. Like this is not how I do laundry. And your feedback to me was that's okay. Put it next. You could do a couple different things. Like you could talk about how this isn't actually how you do laundry, but you do these photo shoots because you really care about your kids, right? So you could share a value that goes along with it. But then also we talked about doing like a real life versus um
Yeah.
like Instagram type thing. And
Yeah.
so like put me in my robe in my ugly laundry room, like doing laundry.
Your hair is a mess, like whatever.
There's a mess, like not my curly haired bob, right? That
Yeah.
you helped me decide that was my look. Um and and so it was like owning the parts of you, making your story, making the parts of you that are embarrassing or shameful, and just being like, yeah, I own that. I
Yeah.
own, and I think it's funny, or I think it's this. And that was a really big part of who I am, is just finding a way that everything I do is acceptable
Yeah.
and imperfect. And I love that.
Yeah, I love that too. I love that you mentioned that because I know that, we're both recovering people pleasers. And so it's an important aspect. And it was for me too. It has been on my journey, and I feel like it's been an onion. It's had layers where I don't remember the moment or what had happened that caught me off guard enough to say, you know what? Like, I get to own all of my imperfections. Because one thing, and I think it's actually in my astrology chart too, that when people see me, they see this perfection. Like I could be a sobbing mess, which I have been before. And like I'll tell a friend, like, do you remember when we met? And they were like, yeah, I thought you were like the coolest person in the room. I was like, no, 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 I was sobbing. Like I was a disaster. I was a mess. How do you not remember that? Like that's how we met. But it's even like been told to me in my chart, people see me as this like perfection, the picture or something. I can't remember how it was phrased, but I've gotten that a lot through my life where like it's not okay for me to be imperfect. So that was one of the things that allowed me to be a people pleaser. And so once I started really accepting and owning and actually loving my imperfections because it made me different from everyone else. Um, you know, it was very interesting to witness other people in those scenarios because they were still not okay. And I would laugh about it. Like I laugh at myself all the time. And people don't even know. In fact, like I keep mentioning in PJ's on, he was the first person ever to call me on being a nerd. And I was like, you like really see me. Like people don't know how much of a nerd I am. Like I geek out on stuff and like comics, quantum physics, like neuroscience. Like I am a nerd. And like people don't see that in me at all. He was the first one to actually like ever say that to me. And I was like, wow, like that's awesome. Um, but it's just like people have not been okay. And I made it. I keep doing this because I find myself kind of going back into a pattern, but then I'm like, you know what? I keep making this decision that everything that's said to me, I'm just going to take as a compliment. I don't care what it is. I'm just going to say thank you. Because people like to say passive aggressive things, especially if you're not like perfect in their perfect picture, right? Or if they're feeling insecure. And I just get the funniest remarks from people, and I'm just like, thank you. And like Alex Hermosi had, I think, done a reel on this too that I shared on Instagram, because his girlfriend or wife, I think they're married, had done that too, where some guy was like rude and was like, move your skinny ass out of there. And she was like, oh, he called me skinny. And so he did a reel about it. And I was like, I'm sharing this because I do this all the time where people say like rude things or passive aggressive things to me. And I'm like, thank you. I appreciate that. And it just shuts them down so fast because it's like, I don't have time for drama or negativity or anything that's not good for any of us. And neither do you. So if I can like allow you to see that and shut it down, great. If you don't get it, great. Not attached.
I love that. And here's the compliment, right? If you have said something or shared something that is enough of a trigger for someone, then you matter enough to like make an impact. It doesn't matter what impact it is, but you
Oh
have
yeah.
power. You have power. And that's what's cool. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that power. I appreciate that.
Well, I laugh with my friends because I'm like, I am probably the laughing memory of like so many people worldwide that don't know me, that have witnessed something awkward that I have done in my life. Like, because it is like my friends are like, only you, Nikki, that only happens to you. I don't know. um, so yeah, it's just it's very funny. Um, let's talk more about the mindset piece though, because we all
Okay.
kind of like dove into that
I
a
know,
little.
and I don't know if anybody has questions or how you run your call, but like, yeah.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead. So
I'm
what
gonna
about the mindset? What do you where do you want me to go
Well,
with?
let's talk about that foundational piece of what you do, because I know, like, I do a lot of mindset work as well. Like, when people are like, you're a photographer, what do you do on stage? Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I'm a really high level photographer. I need people to see that their photography is part of their marketing as opposed to the insecurities of getting in front of a camera. So I need to talk about the importance of their brand on stage. And people are like, oh, so we both do a lot of mindset work. So you are a mindset mentor, and I do a lot of mindset work to allow people to express themselves in their soul essence for their brand. So I just want to get your perspective on the fact creating the foundation of the healthy and powerful mindset.
Yeah, so I think again, number one, it's getting okay with, if I could give you, the first step, it's like getting okay with whatever it is you have shame around. Like thinking about what is it I don't want to do? Where is the place that I'm hesitating? Where am I stopping? What am I now the next question is, what's my thoughts around this? And what are my feelings around this? And then really challenging yourself to, is this true? Is this actually true? And is it always true? Sometimes it is, with certain family members, certain people that show up in your life, they do put you in whatever box it is that you believe. But um, at that point, when you're thinking about what am I thinking and what am I feeling about this, it's all about you. It's all about you and your self-preservation. And I think one of the hardest things for people to hear is that the reason that they hesitate in being visible, the reason that they hesitate in putting their message out there, the reason they hesitate in being authentic and they only want to show certain sides of themselves is because it's all about protecting themselves from being hurt.
Yeah.
And so when and that's a little bit of a punch to a gut to my people, because my people are so loving and giving and like just want to help people, want to care about people, like they deeply do. And then when I go, okay, well, that's about you. And they're like, what? But I'm not like that. But you are, we all are. So
Oh,
and then from there, it's asking yourself, like, how can I take steps forward that feel safe? How can I take my first step forward? And it's about rewiring your brain. So I mix ancient wisdom with modern science in my coaching. So it's rewiring your brain to accept that doing things differently than you used to or that you believed the world worked is still safe
yeah.
and it's still okay and you're going to live. But the other way that I connect is like, what's my higher purpose? And oftentimes when I'm feeling really uncomfortable with my clients or I have to give hard feedback or something like that, I'll say, just for my own benefit, like I care more about you than I do about what you think about me when I say
Yeah.
this. Like, and I trust you that you are going to engage in a dialogue with me. You're going to have a conversation with me about how you're feeling and what you're thinking so I can make sure that I land my communication with you effectively.
Yeah.
So it's really when I'm really operating at my highest self, I am giving trust. I am letting go of my ego, and that is being the actual person, my truest essence, like the actual person I want to be. When
Yeah.
I'm withholding information from people because I'm afraid of what they'll think of me. So I really tell people, like, think about why you're doing this. What's your bigger purpose? And a lot of people say, oh, like my family. I'm doing my business for my family. Yeah, but why? Why? Because you could do a lot of things to support your family. You could have a job, you could do this, you could do that, you could do a lot of things. But why does it have to be this thing that you're doing? And when you connect in on that, and we talk about that at like the soul level, things become easy, and it's so much easier to let go of those things. But I think it's also having grace with yourself that I have operated in this place where I feel unsafe to this point, and it's not going to go away overnight.
Yeah.
I'm going to move the scale a little bit each time. And then something traumatic, something big happens, and you like go way back, you go back here. But every time you go a little less far, you
Yeah.
a little less of a trigger.
And the recovery becomes shorter where
Yeah.
yeah, so I love that. I've noticed that with myself too. And that's also like an onion, right? Like I feel like just different phases of my life just reveal themselves differently to allow me to open up more. I know, especially dating. Oh my gosh. I'm just like be yourself, Nikki. This is like a mantra that goes on in my head when dating. Just be yourself. Just be yourself, Nikki. Just be yourself. Because there's this like pattern in the background of the people pleasing and the trauma of like my upbringing. And it's like, okay, just like one of the things I'm most grateful for is the awareness because I'm I mean, without that, what would I do? I just like live off of those patterns that are running in the background as opposed to reminding myself and catching myself.
Yep.
Um, okay, I want to open it up for some questions. And so if anyone joining live has any questions that they want to ask, you can take yourself off mute or throw it in the chat. We are here to be of service to you guys, and your questions allow us to know how we can best support you. So that is the best gift you can give us on this call is allowing us to be of support to you.
Nikki is super, super creative. So, like, she comes up with really brilliant ideas. So, definitely use this time to pick her brain too.
I do. If I could just be paid to come up with ideas for people, that would be amazing. I mean, I do, but if it was just like, come into the room, Nikki, here's the problem, solve it. I'm like amazing at that.
I have a question.
Okay.
Alecia, I still don't really understand 100% what you do.
Mhm.
I feel like you're a real estate coach.
I
Is that
don't
true?
I don't teach real estate strategy. What I teach is the leadership aspect of what keeps people from implementing their strategy. So I coach them through we take them through a process of a goal
Mhm.
and look at what self-sabotaging behavior they're doing, why they're doing it, and what is the belief that's driving that to them to do that behavior. And then we work to create new beliefs, new big assumptions about the way the world works so that they can achieve their goal. Instead of focusing on the goal itself, we're focusing on what's getting in the way of the goal.
Right. I
So
do
it's about
something
behavior
different.
change management.
So, how for you does personal branding come into play specifically?
Yeah, so a lot of it comes from like I go to conferences and when I network, and so a lot of times it's like being able to be recognizable, knowing that, oh wait, that's that speaker that I heard. They may not know my name, but like they're gonna go find that gal that has the curly bob. Or like I'm a lot of times I'll wear red or like a really solid emerald or blue, like very solid, noticeable, bold colors, so that I'm really easily distinguishable. But then the other piece is there, I have a reputation for giving loving hard truths. Like my world is loving. And it's like anybody who would talk about me would be like, oh, Alicia's amazing. She has a way of getting right to the core of things very quickly, creating a breakthrough. And she's going to tell you what you need to hear, but in a really loving way. And so that's what I see my space as being kind of known for, how I show up in the world, and being able to easily be found in some of the crowd.
And how do you implement this idea of personal branding with your clients? How do you bring a similar idea to them?
So when they get to be the most authentic self, it's really about being like radical self-acceptance is the word that comes to mind, is when they get to be the most acceptable, they accept themselves fully. The answers that they're looking for often come very easily from heart. They're like, well, what do I do if I don't know how to, do this because I'm brand new at it? Well, you have a bunch of resources. Just tell the truth. So often people are afraid to just tell their truth.
I know. That's
And
always
it's
my
like the
response
easiest
too.
answer, right?
Honesty is best. Just tell them you don't know, or they're like, "Oh, okay, yes,
Yeah, and it's the other pieces of it is like I work with a lot of up and coming coaches, people who actually want to teach the strategy of real estate. So part of that is they have to get really okay with who they are as we talk about niches, and as they're niching down and kind of finding out who they are is like, is it okay for me to share my beliefs? Is it okay for me to have an opinion? I'm like, yes, like you have to, or you just look like everyone else. And that is probably the biggest crux I see in the coaching industry, mentoring industry. And so many people in the real estate industry rely on strategy and money making as like the dazzle of what is going to sell.
yeah,
And they use manipulative sales strategies. And it's like, if you could just be your awesome self, people would work with you.
yeah." It's so
Great,
true.
thanks.
I had an experience. I was looking for an apartment, and I called on this place, and this woman was like, "Okay, come to the office. Well, this time." She gave me an address, and I show up, and I'm like, "Oh, she took me to her office." And I called her, and I was like, "I'm here." And she's like, "Oh, come on in." And I was like, "No, no, no, I'm not doing that. Um, you didn't say leave extra time to come into the office. That's very manipulative. I'm here. I'm ready to go see the apartment. Let's go." And she was like, "But this is part of the and I was like, "I get that that's probably part of your process, but that was not communicated to me," which is very like secret, and it's just not the way that I like to do things. So if you're not going to show me the apartment, if I don't come in, then I don't see the apartment. And she just did not know what to do with me. And I was just like, I don't play the games. I'm not going to play your game. I don't play any games. And it's the same in the photography industry. Like, I decided early on, like 20 years ago, that I hated the pricing structure that portrait photographers, because I started out as a portrait photographer, and they sell a photo shoot for like $100, but you can't get lower than like $1,000 worth of images. And it's like, no, I am worthy of more upfront. So I actually created the opposite. I charged my worth for the photo shoot, and I made prints that they could purchase like regular price. And they still bought a bunch, or they would pay extra for the digital images, but they left me not feeling like I stole from them, which is most of the cases in the photography industry too. It's like there's this secret way of making money, but it's not so secret because your clients feel like you just stole from them. Like, and I am not going to do that to anybody. So yeah, it's unfortunately in a lot of industries, and that's actually one of the reasons why I'm doing these calls, is because I just want to be a beacon of truth, because I am so sick of the scams. I'm sick of the games. I'm sick of being manipulated. I'm sick of paying $37 for a thing that I want to learn, that like finding out later that all of the testimonials on that $37 page were really for the $1,900 product. Like, I'm sick of it. I am so sick of it. And I just want people to know like what the real deal is. I'm sick of people feeling like they have to spend $5,000 on a website, which is not going to get them business, but photos will. Like, I'm just, yeah, I was like, okay, I need to take responsibility to get myself out there, because I'm just sick of the scams. I'm sick of people being lied to. It's in
Well,
all the industries.
yeah, it is. It's in a lot of industries. And I used to, so I came, I started teaching real estate. I was a real estate investor with my mom very early on, had the benefit of being able to teach for a very prominent person in the financial industry. And that was all about selling people into the dream of creating wealth with real estate, which is 100% true that you create wealth with real estate. But a majority of people could not implement the strategy. And so that really comes back to what are the beliefs that are in their mind around that. And that's why someone can pick up a book. I can pick up a book. A lot of your mentors out there in a lot of different industries publish a book. You can pick up their book, do their strategy, and you will make money. But a majority of people can't do that because they get in their own mind and get in their own way. So then the coaching industry becomes necessary because they need someone to give them a higher level of support to really call them out on what could be getting in the way. And so I'm not against like saying that you don't need a coach or you don't want to hire support. I just want the best people to be out there for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And even the ones that are out there for the wrong reasons, they still have really good, valuable things that people make money from.
Yeah.
And I want people to understand that those coaches, those mentors, those people also are human with their own challenges and their own things that they're trying to cover up and fill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to have enough sense of self and what's important to you to make really good decisions about what you invest in and what you put in your mind and who you spend your time with.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about, Nikki, the narcissists that you spend time with because you think you see their value, but you also know your boundary. You know how you're willing to be talked to, you know what your responsibility is, you know what their responsibility is, and you're not going to let them manipulate you, which is what a narcissist will try to do, is try to control. But people pleasers do the same thing. They try to control how people feel about them too.
Yep.
They just don't really like, it's like the nicest, most overt version of mind control.
Yes. Totally.
Right. So, but you appreciate. So it's like really having the strong sense of self. So yes, I think there are people out there who are scammy, but I don't think that's the majority of any industry out there. I think it's just, you have to tolerate a certain amount of bad to glean out the good. And it's not anybody's fault. It's just what is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. Okay. So tell me a little bit more about
Did
little
anybody have any
hacks.
questions? I'm sorry. I wanted to, because I don't want to run out of time. And I know a lot of my people were here to hear from you. Did any of you have any questions like that you wanted to ask? I'm hijacking your call.
No, it's okay.
Are you good? Okay, Phyllis.
I don't have a question per se. Nikki, it's nice to meet you and be connected. I love this conversation. And I'm gonna have to go here in a second because I have another call, but this is the third conversation in 2 days where the term beacon has been used. So I'm kind of like, I feel like maybe something's trying to hit me over the head a little. But anyway, thank you. This has been lovely. Alicia's great. I'm a client of Alicia's and I am not in real estate, just FYI. And she's been really helpful to me. I am a small business owner. And so yeah, if you're considering working with somebody, I would highly recommend Alicia. So I'm gonna
I did
she
not
didn't ask me to say
I did
that.
not bring her on to say that.
She did not. She didn't even know I was going to come to this call. So anyway, but Nikki, it's lovely to connect, and I'll reach out to you privately. But it's great to be here, and I'm gonna
Great to meet you
dash
too.
out.
Thank you for joining us.
Sure.
We appreciate the feedback always. And Alecia is amazing. I haven't worked with her personally, but just knowing her personally, top notch. And maybe you get to figure out what the beacon you get to be in the world is. Maybe that's what's trying to come through.
So one of the, I gotta make a comment on that. And so very often, the thing that you have felt like you have lacked in your life, like not being heard or not being seen or being judged is oftentimes like a little wormhole into what your purpose is. Like, Phyllis, do I have your permission to like use your example because it's such a beautiful example-ish? Okay. Like Phyllis has often felt like her voice did not matter growing up, and she is a podcast producer. Like, she helps people like get their voice heard. Like, of course that's your gift. Of course that's what you're here to do.
Yeah.
So it's like, I just think that that's such a beautiful example of what I'm talking about, where our challenges, our things that we're given are that wormhole, that insight into what you can really contribute.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I never felt photogenic, and so it doesn't surprise me when everyone comes to me and they're like, I don't really feel like I'm photogenic. I'm like, perfect, you're in the right place. Totally get it. Let's do this. So yeah, I love that. I want to share. Well, does anyone else have any questions? I don't want to put you guys on the spot too much. I feel like um
We could sit and talk for hours. Like, we book a 20-minute call together and like we could just fill the space, but
for sure. Um, well, just put in the chat if you have any questions, because I don't want to put you too much on the spot. I just want to mention one thing that Alecia and I had talked about, and every single person I have said this to after you told me has just been blown away, just like I was. And it goes along with the mindset. It goes along with everything that we've been talking about. But we were talking about attachment styles, and Alecia shared a podcast with me, which I listened to, which was amazing. But one of the things that was really just mind blowing for me that she had said, and everyone that I've told this to, is the way you react and treat others is how you wish that you had always been treated and needed to be treated and seen and heard and all of the things, right? And how you treat yourself is how others always treated you. And for me, that landed so heavy. I was like, whoa, that is mind blowing. And true on so many aspects, as I've been so hard on myself. And I know a lot of my friends are the same way. Everyone I've said that to just kind of takes a step back and they're just like, wow, yeah, okay, that really landed. So I just wanted to mention that here because that was really powerful and it has been with everyone I've shared it with. So I want to share it on this. And I feel like it goes along with the subject matter that we've been talking about too. So yeah, I love that. And it was Mel Robbins, right? That was the podcast.
yeah, it was on the Mel Robbins podcast. And I can't take credit for it. And I don't know, we need to find what exact show that was, but it's Why We Love the Way We Do. It's a Mel Robbins podcast. And it was actually the speaker. Forgive me, I don't even have her name off the top of my head. I would have come prepared.
I don't remember her name either. So
but she was the one who like just so eloquently said, we treat others the way we wish we had been treated. We treat ourselves the way we were treated. And this whole thought, and this is part of what you do when you work through any modality in coaching, is you're healing some parts of yourself that feel maybe not whole, and there's nothing that's broken about anybody. There's nothing that needs to be fixed. What I look at it as is really, you have put some armor on to protect yourself. And so this whole personal brand conversation is really about choosing, and I'm using that word very specifically, choosing when to shed your armor so that people can really know your heart and who you are and what you're about, and choosing when to wear your armor. Like, there are certain people that I am with that I know just to keep this armor on, because it's like being with a narcissist, or it's like being with, certain people, like, just keep the armor on or keep this armor on. The difference is I get to choose to put it on. I'm not just being run. I'm just not wearing it, not knowing it's there, thinking, man, why is everything so heavy? I get to choose when to put it on it. And personal branding is really about feeling safe to take that off.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing that I love about the photography aspect is my clients get to see hundreds of photos of what we really see in them. Like one of my girlfriends was like, I just love the photos. They're so beautiful. Thank you. Cause she hired me to do her brand. And she was like, you just, made me look so beautiful. And I was like, um, that's what you look like. She was like, no, but like really I don't. And I was like, no, but really you do. Like that's how the rest of us see you.
I love that.
She just like could not believe it. She was like, no, but like, and I was like, no, but like we'll do this all day. This is what you look like. And she was,
Well, what I always found fascinating about your pictures is when I look in the mirror, I see myself. Like I see this person, but like, okay, there's some wrinkles here around my eyes, and definitely watching yourself age, that's an interesting experience.
yeah.
But when I see your photos, my comment is, that's the way I feel on the inside.
Yes.
And like, oh my gosh, like I've worked so hard to let I want people to know me and see my inside. And then it was like, all of a sudden there were these photos and it was like, that's how I feel. I feel joyful. I feel bubbly. I feel excited. I feel powerful. And that's what I get to show in my photos. And that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
kind of cool. That's super cool.
It's super cool. I love that too. I was speaking on Friday. It was virtual and the host was a client of mine who had brought me in and she was like, I mean, Nikki's photos are the only photos we use for marketing and ads. Like, I don't care how many photo shoots, and they're nice photos that I have taken, but like we always go back to Nikki's because they convert because my authenticity is like so shining in them that people feel immediately like they know, like, and trust me. And it was cute too. She had mentioned she was speaking at a conference. She was one of the speakers and she walked into the event space. There was this huge banner of her, one of the photos I took of her. And she was like, kind of like taken back because they had just done that. They just highlighted her. She had one of like the best like photo brands and she was one of the main speakers, but they just chose her photo and she had no idea. She was like, oh my God, I walked in and I was like larger than life. And she was like, it, and I love this. I wrote it down. She was like, it was as if my competition just became invisible. And I was like, oh, I love that. Like making your competition invisible, that is like very powerful. And she was like, it's true. There were other health coaches at this and they were speaking on stage too. And like nobody existed except for me in that genre. And I was like, wow, okay, that's pretty powerful.
I love that because it's not like, I was telling my kids this the other day. I love this at the end of Start With Why with Simon Sinek, and he's talking about if you want to rally support, then all you need to do is be better than you were yesterday and compete against yourself. And if you want to, if you compete against others, like nobody's gonna like champion your cause, right? Because you're competing against. So all she did was be the most her,
Yep.
right? And then it just made her like shine. And she
Yeah.
didn't have to put anybody down. She didn't have to be negative. She didn't have to like prove herself.
No.
And the question, why are you better than your competition? Because I'm me. I'm not better than my competition. I'm me. Like maybe I'm for you, maybe I'm not, but I'm for someone.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And we all are. And I love getting to expose that. And I'm sure you do too within your clients. It like makes my heart so happy to see my clients just shining and like getting to see all the wonderful things that they hold and that they're here to share um, without holding back because now they're so clear on who they are and what they're putting out into the world. And it's a beautiful thing. And it
Yeah.
makes it so much more fun when you have amazing photos to share. Like, does anyone want a photo of me? Because I've got a bunch.
I don't know if I've ever felt like that, but like,
we've all been handed a business card from someone and they're like, oh, Joel, look at the photo. That always drives me crazy. I'm like, then why is it on there?
yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much. I just like beyond words. I'm so grateful for you as a client and as a friend, and I just adore you. And I know that all of your clients are so lucky to have you in their lives because I know you as a person and as a soul, and I know your heart. So thank you for sharing today, and thank you for joining. And I'm just, yeah, beyond words thankful.
Thank you. It was fun to be here.
Okay, good. Till next time, everybody.